Hello, my name's Adam Howard. I am your current YouTube movie review champion, and today I will be reviewing X2, which is over there. I will be doing this along with Kinda Funny's review of all the X-Men and stuff like that. Highly recommend checking out those videos and even going back and listening to the MCU review. It's such a fun time. Great podcast to listen to. Highly recommended. Gizmodo or somebody, or I don't remember what website, but some website did an article based on that podcast alone and finding that, which is pretty cool. I've been watching their stuff since they were on Smodcast, which was 2014, 4 years ago. Yeah, their four-year anniversary is going to be in just January this coming 2019. So I've been watching them that long. That's kind of scary to think about. So yeah, X2 today. Going through the synopsis, it's we're introduced to Stryker, or Commander Stryker, I think his name is, who, as we go through Wolverine's past and learn more about it, and Wolverine is the center stage of the X-Men movies. I figured out by now. Not later, well, kind of later on, but now it's more about Wolverine and him living inside the X-Men world, where he's definitively the main character of the X-Men, no doubt. It's like how Robert Downey Jr. is in the MCU, just Wolverine's that for the X-Men, which I guess they did it first, so it'd be vice versa. Anyways, so we go through that. In Stryker, there's an attempt on the president's life by Nightcrawler, who's jumping through, and that scene's actually pretty good. There's still a little wire work in this where I look at it, I'm like, ew, that's gross. But most of it cleaned up a lot since the last X-Men movie. So there's all the new, we meet them, and we get more exposure to some of the younger X-Men, and there's some quality X-Men moments too, or quality like character moments kinda, where like Wolverine's on the run and stuff like that, and they go to Iceman's house. I forget what his name is. Bobby Drake, I think. He goes like that, and we see his claws, and we follow it, and it's the cat, and the cat just starts licking it. That made me die laughing. I don't know why. There's a couple other moments like that, but that moment, like, I feel this movie, the X-Men, really find their footing, except for one thing, and that's, I feel, the relationship between Wolverine and Jean Grey. I feel that's way too ham-fisted, especially with the overture and making it all lovey-dovey and all that into their those characters, and I'm just like, that really took me out of the movie, because I'm like, that's a far jump from X-Men 1, where it was more like Wolverine's just kind of like flirting with her and stuff like that, and it feels like he knows she has Cyclops, so she's not gonna like do anything, but he's still gonna make those comments because he's attracted to her. Where in this, it's like ham-fisted, like, Jean, be with me, and they make out in front of the X-Jet, and I'm like, oh dear lord, this is botched. That was my big complaint. It was yuck. I just didn't like that. But spoilers in case anybody hasn't seen this 15-year-old movie, if not more. They set up the sequel very well with how it ends, and having Magneto and Mystique escape while having Jean Grey sacrifice herself and hinting at the Phoenix Force, and then having it take hold to save the X-Men, and then at the very end, you see the Phoenix Force gliding through the water, and I'm so happy it didn't pop out or do anything like that. It just glided right about to the surface and then cut. That's exactly the decision I would have made in that one. There's a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, yes, that was the perfect decision. Yes, good. And there was other stuff where I'm like, that's a very stylistic Bryan Singer choice, like the one where Wolverine's in I think it's Bobby Drake's kitchen, and he opens the fridge, and it's you're looking up at Wolverine grabbing a drink, and I'm like, whoa, that's Bryan Singer. That should not have been a shot that was chosen. There's very many stylistic things like that where I'm like, ugh. God. Because I like more. It's more just my preference to visual style. I don't like there's certain like stylistic stuff like that, but then there's also like crisp, clean like film shots that I'm just all for and very much like. And if there's a shot like that, I'm like, whoa, and taken aback by, or not taken aback, taken out of the current action that's going on. But I was taken out of the action too by the Jean Grey and Wolverine relationship, which I already talked about. Like, he started crying when she died, and she's like, Jean's gone. And he knew her, I want to say cumulatively, in that movie, or in the X-Men universe, maybe a week. Maybe a month. Oh, we also don't get how long it is between movies, but I figure it's 6 months to a year. I don't remember off the top of my head if they did say it or not, but I'm going to say it's about that much. But sound editing much better in this movie. I did notice that. We get the X-Men theme, an X-Men theme, which is cool. I think I got every. There's just so many good character moments in this movie. Oh, I just remembered what I was trying to think of. So they have the point where Bobby Drake has to explain to his parents why, or what the school was and why he's home with Wolverine eating from their fridge and Rogue and Pyro and those characters. And what the X-Men have always been, why the X-Men have been so acclaimed and stuff like that is the issues they deal with and being an outsider and trying to fit in with everybody else and all that kind of stuff in the 60s and stuff like that. Now this movie is set in the early 2000s and with all the discrimination and stuff like that. And the way they do it, he's explained to his mom and she's like, can you just not be a mutant? And what I thought of with that is like very much with in the early, I don't know as much, that's when I think there was starting of a movement, don't quote me on that, of gay rights and all that kind of stuff. And I feel that that moment was very poignant with doing that sort of thing the way the older X-Men used to do with the outsiders and not fitting in and being cast out and just in general nobody wanting you and that kind of thing. But in this they modernize that story a little bit, making it more related to and explained, kind of like, I imagine like they had it in South Park. They did it in South Park a little bit where it was like they had the Christian, I forget what it was, they sent Butters to a Christian thing to make him ungay, which they do stuff like that, or not like that. They do it where they think it's like a choice and stuff like that, and people have different perspectives, and it's people just not understanding that we're all the same, even with these minor differences of lifestyle choices, or not even lifestyle choices, just what you're born with and that kind of stuff. So that's where I feel the story uses that theme and carries it out with the superheroes, and it's one of the best superhero theme kind of things, where it's like, unlike Captain America, where we're gonna fight the Nazis. Not that was not a great example, but it's not like something cartoonish like giant alien armies are flying from the sky and destroying New York buildings, and here comes Loki. Oh, wham, wham, wham. We don't. It's not that kind of movie. It's very much a more serious, heartfelt take on the characters and explaining who they are and how it relates to people, and making all these characters relatable, like Bobby or Iceman and Rogue and Wolverine and all these different characters. They do that in this movie, which is just, the way they do it is just so great, and I feel that it's really strong, but it suffers a lot from Wolverine and Jean Grey's relationship, which I know they have in the comics, and I haven't read that extensively on that particular moment of that love triangle or whatever. But in this movie, I feel that falls flat a lot. Originally going toward in the movie I'm watching, I'm like, this is going to be an A movie through most of it. And then it gets to the part where Wolverine's just crying and he's like, oh no, Jean's gone. And Scott's like, don't say that. I don't get why Wolverine was crying. He's known her for like a week. In total, a week. I was just, oh man. He doesn't know her that. Like, I see if Wolverine dies and Rogue's crying because Wolverine was her savior and he took her to Charles and he was like a father figure for her because her parents were like, no, go away, you're not like us, you're different, you're not human, and all that kind of stuff. Whereas Jean Grey was just a chick who Wolverine hit on in the first movie. That's pretty much what it was. Granted, that's very slimmed down version of what the relationship was in the first movie, but the way it expanded in this one just wasn't realistic, and I didn't believe it whatsoever, and I'm like, oh god, why are you doing this? So that really hurt the movie. But just like X-Men 1, it has its pros and its cons. Like, its story is outstanding except for that one part. The CG's better. The wire work and fighting is better. And all that kind of stuff. Even the villain's plan's much better. But that one relationship really dragged on it. Oh, I forgot about too. It deals with the concept of good and evil and the gray area in between it, with Magneto's way of wanting the mutants to live and Charles's way about it. Because we see Magneto talking to Pyro in the X-Jet, and then at the end he's run off, and then he sees the thing, or the helicopter, and then we see him in the helicopter taking off and changing sides like that, which is something very interesting. It's not like, oh, I'm going to betray my friends in the back because, oh, I have fame and fortune, all that stuff. No, it's based on ideology, not moral wants, or not like wanting things or robbing banks or just wanting to watch the world burn. They just expand on all these different ideas so well in this movie. It's such a fantastic series. I haven't watched X3 yet, so that one's supposed to be really bad. But this movie, I really enjoyed it, except for that one part that, in some of the stylistic choices, that really took me out of the movie. Oh, I forgot. One more thing before I give you my letter grade, even though I've been bouncing back or just making mine stop slowing the way. The fact that I think it was NSYNC came on when they're driving down the road in Cyclops' car, and then that made me laugh too a lot. There's a lot of good moments like that in the movie, but overall, I'm gonna give. I think I prefer this movie over X1, but I'm still gonna give it the same grade because of some of the different things that are in it. So I'm gonna give X2 a A-. So if you want to come back next week to see my review of X3, you should do that. Summer Movie Marathon's coming up. June 11th. First episode of Summer Movie Marathon kicks off with Dazed and Confused. And then after that, it's Caddyshack, La La Land, Deadpool, Incredibles, and then Incredibles 2, I believe. So that's going to be very exciting. That's coming up. You should subscribe to get that if you want to look more in depth into the schedule, even though I'm pretty sure it's definitely going to change at some points. Subscribe to my Instagram at AKHVids, the same on Twitter. Subscribe to that, like all my stuff. That's when you know everything's coming, and that's my main way of being like, hey, this is coming up. I'm doing this. You're going to get some of this. Blah, 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 blah. And until next time, it's been my pleasure to serve you.